Okay, this is a video on how to do homework 0. I'm going to show you pretty much everything. I'll do about a third of the homework. Show you the code, how to do the hand execution part of it, and how to format that all into a document to turn it in. So I've downloaded a couple documents from my website. I've got this sample homework format document, and I'll open that up. So this is just one sample on how to make your stuff. So change this name and change this and all of that, and put a picture in there. Is kind of cute. Take out read this stuff here, but I don't want you to give that back to me. Take that out. And so the first thing we're going to do the BubbleSort. Okay, so put that in there, and put a insert a better explanation here, in your own words what's happening here. And so I want you to put your source code. I want you to capture the screen output, and then I want you to put the actual hand execution. In this case, that's what we want here. So let's see. So I've given you the code, and I've downloaded that from my website, and that's in this document. So this is just a BubbleSort algorithm and two other algorithms, but I'll do the BubbleSort for you. So copy all this stuff. I've got Visual Studio open already, and this is I posted another set of instructions on how to get Visual Studio working. You could use another compiler if you want, but I recommend you use Visual Studio. So paste all the code in there, and if you set up your environment properly, it should outright run. It does. Okay, so everything's cool. And so what's happening here is I print out the original array with this print array function, and here's the original array. Sometimes I say array, sometimes I say array. You say array, I say array. So this is what we call a hard-coded array. So for the kind of stuff we're going to be doing in this class, this kind of hard coding is fine. So this is the input, really, and it's not necessary for us to do a lot of console, interactive input with data validation and all that stuff. I mean, that's good for a beginning programming class, but for what we're going to do, most of the time we can hard code the input. So that's the input. Then I call the BubbleSort algorithm, which goes down here and does the BubbleSort, and then I print the array again. Right? So that's what you should expect to see on the output, and that's what you see. You see the array before it's sorted, and then you see the sorted array. Right? So what I want you to do is create a document that explains how this algorithm works. Okay, so I'm going to have to make a couple of changes here. So what I want to do is I want to print the array more frequently. So I'm going to use this print array function and put it in here a little bit more frequently. So if you look at BubbleSort, here's a BubbleSort algorithm, which we've talked about it in another video on how it works. But let's just look at this code right here and talk about it, just code structure-wise. So there's no curly brackets in here. So where are the targets? So let's start on the innermost part of this nested set of constructs. So we've got a swap function, and this is a block. You could call this a block. I mean, it's a function call, but it's a tiny block, let's say. So this swap function is the target of the if, right? So those two things together make another block, right? And that block is the target of this for loop, right? So every time this for loop iterates, then this whole block will iterate, because this block that I have highlighted right here is the target of the for loop. Of course, the swap will only execute if the for loop, if the if statement is true, but regardless, this stuff right here is the target of the inner for loop. And then all of this stuff right here is another larger block you could think of, and it is the target of the outer for loop, right? So for every iteration of the outer for loop, all of this stuff here executes. Okay, what I want is to stick some more print array functions in there. So I'm going to Control C, copy this. And where should I put it? You know, I could put it, well, let's put it here. So if I'm going to add another statement, then I need the curly brackets, right? Because if I'm going to add a printf here, then you know, this is a block. So if it did not have the curly brackets, then for the for loop here, this outer for loop would find this thing as its target, and it would only do that, you know, if there were no curly brackets. Okay, so you know, my rule is when in doubt, put the curly brackets. If you're not sure, you know, put them in there. They don't hurt anything most of the time. But anyway, so let's try that. I run that, Control F5. I get basically the array sorted after every pass of the outer loop, right? After every iteration of the outer loop, this for loop out here, I get the array. That's not enough detail to really see what's happening in the bubble sort. Okay, so what I really want is to move this guy deeper in. I want it to be associated with this target. You want it there, so take this guy and put him in here. Okay, and let's see what that does. Okay, that's enough detail. So this is what you want, right? If you go up now, I just want you to annotate this. Okay, you could, if you want, you could print this out. By the way, you can invert the screen here. You can go to Properties, and you can change the font color. Like you could change it to, you could change the font to, well, you can play with this. I don't feel like messing with it, but you could invert this and print it out and then use colored pencils. But then you got to get it back into the Word doc. And if you want to do that, that's fine. I appreciate an artistic approach. People have used colored pencils and watercolors and, you know, marker pens and all kinds of stuff, and that's cool. I think that's really neat if you want to do that. But I'm just going to use Excel to show you how to do that. So we want to highlight all of this stuff. If you go up here and click Edit, Mark, we can do this kind of drag thing up to there. Okay, then you press Enter and it captures it in the clipboard. Now we can go to Excel, right, and you can just go Control V to paste it in there. Okay, now I just dumped it into single rows here. Now if you're lucky, it'll parse it for you out into one number per box, but it didn't do that this time. So we need to do this. We need to highlight every row. Whoa, what happened? Highlight every row like that. I've just highlighted the F column. I've highlighted every row in the F column. And then go to Data, go to, where is it? Oh, Data, go to Text to Columns, Delimited, Next, comma, space, and then Finish. And it does that, it breaks it up. Okay, and then just start marking this thing up. Mark it up. Like, I think that's the original row. You can put a box around that. Then, let's see what happened. There's a swap right there. That was a swap. In fact, you could annotate that. Like, you could put a legend up here. You could say swap is yellow and like no swap is So swap is yellow and no swap is gray. And so then the 10 got swapped again, right? Make that yellow. And then the 10 got swapped again. Then here the 2 was smaller, so there was no swap. And then here the 1 was smaller, so there was no swap. And then here there was a swap. 1 and the 26 got swapped. Right? Here the 1 and the 13 got swapped. And here the 1 and the 24 got swapped. So this right here was that was loop 1, right? That was loop 1 of outer. That was outer loop, outer loop iteration 1. And then you can go down here and keep going. So there 15 is smaller, so no swap. There 15 is smaller than 27, so it got swapped. This here is no swap. This here is no swap. This here is a swap. This here is a swap. I might be making a mistake somewhere, but you get the idea. And then no swap. Okay, and that was, I have less rows. I might have a boo-boo in here somewhere, but anyway. Okay, so this was outer loop. I guess to be more specific, is outer loop iteration 2, and this was outer loop iteration 1. And I can make that. Why doesn't that go over that way? That guy go over that way. Left justify these guys. Okay, so this is pretty clear, I think, what I call a hand execution or a demonstration of how the algorithm works. You should be able to show this to, like your little sibling, like a 12-year-old, and they should be able to understand pretty much exactly what's happening here. Okay, now they may not understand the code that makes it happen, but they'll understand the algorithm. Okay, so should be your goal, is to make something that's clear enough that you can just show it to somebody. Look, this is what the algorithm does. Okay, so continue that and go all the way down. Right, do the whole thing. The whole thing. I'm not going to do that now because I'm the teacher and I know how this thing works, but I want you to do that because it's a good exercise. Okay, so then when you're all done, highlight all of this stuff. Control C copies it. Then go back to your assignment thing and dump it in there. Control V to paste it in there. Okay? I think I would make the columns narrower and spend a little bit more time on the formatting. But anyway, do that, and then we need the code. Where's the code? Not there. Where's the code? Put a comment header block in here. Put your name, the date, course. This is, then give credit to where you got the code. Not that I'm vain or anything. I mean, it's just a BubbleSort, but this giving credit to where you got the code from is just a professional and polite thing to do. So do it. And also you can avoid plagiarism by specifying where you got stuff. It's references basically. Then say this is just a regular, BubbleSort. And it's regular. It's like not extra crispy. I like jokes. It's silly jokes are okay. All right. You could, if you wanted to, you could put some more. This is pretty standard code, off-the-shelf BubbleSort. don't really need to annotate it that much, but if you wanted to, that's good. And if it were more complicated code, I would like you to put in comments in there. Okay, so this should get you going on C. This is what I mean by C. It's just procedural stuff. There's a little bit of pointers, but there's no objects. There's no templates. There's no fancy libraries. It's just what I like to call plain vanilla C. And I'm using printf. So this has a CPP file extension. So strictly speaking, it's C++. That's the file extension. But I'm not using any C++ features. I'm using all low-level C features. You know, C, the C programming language, is mostly a subset of C++. So most, if not all, of your C code will run in a C++ environment. So that's what we're going to do in this class. Simple C. We might use a C++ feature if it makes things easier, but not if it makes things more complicated. Okay, so put some comments in there. You can do Control-A to select everything, Control-C to copy it. Go back to your this thing and stick the code. You know, Control-V to paste the code in there. Okay. Format it all so that it looks pretty. And this was just BubbleSort. Do this twice more, right? Do this whole thing. Oh, what happened? I don't know what happened there, but do this, you know. I don't want you to stop there. I want you to do this whole thing and do it again for selection sort, you know, and the other one, insertion sort. All right? Okay, and then when you're all done with that, go up to export and do create PDF. I'm going to dump it on the, you know, on the desktop and you know, and mail it to me. What happened? Export, create a PDF. Let's put it on the desktop and you know. Okay. Wait a second. What happened to it? There it is. This file right here. Email that to the instructor. Okay. Thanks. See you next time.